what do I do? Like, how do I even start getting a message out there to get people to talk to get that feedback?
Yeah. Well, one foot in front of the other. So start with one lead magnet, get it out there before you worry about number two. Because the worst
Okay.
thing you can do is have three or four unfinished and nothing out there. Because perfect and on the shelf is worthless to you, right? I'd
Mhm.
rather you see it C minus good enough, get it out there so it can actually start working for you.
Welcome to the Stephen Lee Thomas Show, where we provide expert advice for real estate entrepreneurs. And I'm your host, Stephen Lee Thomas. And it wasn't that long ago that I was navigating the challenges of real estate investing, learning from my mistakes, and building the business I have today. I created this show to give you simple, actionable, step-by-step strategies to help you do the same. Each week, we bring you in-depth discussions with industry leaders and professionals who share their knowledge and practical tips. So sit back, take notes, and let's dive into today's episode. Welcome back to the Stephen Lee Thomas Show, and I'm your host, Stephen Lee Thomas. Today, my guest is Jason Wright. He is a speaker, author, limited partner, real estate investor, podcast host, and digital marketing architect. Jason, thank you so much for joining us today.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason, go ahead and start us off. Tell us a little bit about you and your business, Intentionally Inspirational.
Sure. So, about, I don't know, 10, 11 years ago, I got tired of working in the corporate grind. And the biggest thing I wanted was control over my time. I don't like getting up early at all. I like cannot stand it. So I was like, if I could sleep in and work later and pay my bills from home, that'd be like the greatest life ever. So that's what kind of got me going down this path. I won't give you the deep story, but had to quit corporate America twice to make it stick. But the thing I found the best luck with right away was digital marketing. And I thought I was going to be an inspirational speaker. And when I do get to speak, some of that comes out. But I noticed on Upwork back in the day, there was more money in marketing than there was in anything else I thought I was kind of qualified to do at the time. So that's kind of how it started. It was a happy accident. And I've been doing this about 10 years now. So it's the really fast, high version of what's going on here.
Of where you're at. Real quick, what's your corporate background?
So in the corporate world, I was between HR, safety, and sales. The common thread is people, so that
Okay.
skill set transferred nicely among them. Safety wasn't really my jam. Seeing people get hurt and worse is not for the faint of heart. So, but HR and sales were decent fits for me. So,
HR and sales, I don't know that I would ever imagine those really going together. But like you said, it's a
yeah,
lot of people when you're in HR and sales. And
yep,
my corporate background, I learned the secret, and also I think the most challenging part of the business is not the subject matter, it's really the people. That's really
yeah,
like that's what makes it or breaks it is the
yep.
people. So I can see how if you're spending a lot of time in that space, it probably helped you out quite a bit. And so you mentioned, what drew you into marketing. I want to take the marketing world and I want to bring that into getting into these apartment deals. And the, 100%, the biggest limiting factor is the ability to bring money to a deal to close it.
Yep.
More so in the last few years. We're going on a few years now with the market where it was really hot and then everything got flipped upside down really quick. A lot of people have lost money. So raising capital has been challenging, and I've seen deals that fall apart because you can't raise the capital, or multiple extensions where you're trying to raise capital even past your extensions, but both parties are so committed to it. It's like, well, we'll just kind of let this roll until we can get enough capital. So I'd like to hang out in that spot. So passive, hold on, say passive, but raising capital from passive investors, you've got 10 years of this like lead generation. And when I first started raising capital, man, it was a train wreck. I went to a networking event. I got a bunch of business cards. I added them to an Access database, thinking I was building an investor database. I got a deal. I sent out a bunch of emails to people I had never followed up with, and I raised capital from one person. that was it. So fortunately, I had partners that were able to raise capital, but I had no idea of this thing called a marketing funnel. Like nobody explained that concept to me.
Yep.
So you work with people like how what is that process like in helping people go from, man, I am so uncomfortable in the space of raising any money to I've got this like capital raising machine.
Yeah. It's an interesting question because you really have people that originate from two groups. I told you before we got on air, I've worked with about 190 people in this space from the marketing perspective. And I know hundreds more friends and stuff. Maybe I haven't worked with them, but I hear the same kind of themes. Um, Group one is people who come from a place, maybe they're a surgeon, right? So their network that they already
Hmm.
have has money in it. And for those people, it's always going to be easier to raise money.
Uh-huh.
Other people might come from HR and safety, and they don't know anybody who is able to contribute to deals. So they're starting with a much steeper climb to begin with. So the initial experience can be very different, kind of based on the network you bring to the table. And then eventually, even in that first example, if people want to scale this, eventually they're going to run out of capital within their own network. People are only going to commit so much. And, a lot of deals lock up your money for 5 years or sometimes even 10. So, at that point, then they're going back to square one, kind of what the other people are going through.
Yeah. Okay. So I can tell you, I personally have gone through a lot of what you just said. And
Yep.
there's a ton of limiting beliefs along the way. It's like there's just like roadblock, and after a roadblock, you get past one limiting belief, and then you're met with this other one like right in the face.
Yeah.
And even in my corporate background, I wasn't a surgeon, but as a corporate executive, I was around other high net worth individuals, but it was still this really weird moment to like go talk to somebody and be like, hey, by the way, on the side, I'm doing real estate investing. You want to invest? How do you coach people through the early stages of asking people for money?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the mistake, and there's a lot of limiting beliefs around that. I even tried to raise money one time, and I was just like, I just don't want to do this. I want to do the marketing piece. I don't want to do this. But I think one of the biggest challenges is people go into it thinking it's like a sales pitch. It's
Hmm.
not a
Hmm.
sales pitch. It's more of like, I'm going to give you an opportunity if you qualify. It's an educational segue into a different world. And I think you really need to present what you have available to the right people rather than try to convince somebody where they should let go of 50 grand. It's a very different conversation. And if people think you're desperate, they're probably not going to invest. It's probably a big red flag. From doing a couple of investments myself, I've definitely learned that it's more the jockey than the horse, right? You really want to make
Hmm.
sure the
Hmm.
people you're investing in have got a track record of success. I know it's hard if people have never done it, but maybe the other, general partners in the deal have that. So anyway,
The I want to hang out in the educational process piece, and that was another aha moment for me was rather than just picking up the phone and saying, "Hey, would you like to invest in a deal?" It was how do you educate them? And I've met with enough people that I when I'm presenting to them investment opportunities or providing the education, I had to learn to listen and like see their body language and what resonated and what didn't. For me, one of the most successful things I did when I first started is I was going to people, I would say, give me your feedback at the end of this. And it was just candid. I would get to the end of it and I'd say, how was it? And people, like, fortunately, some people were very blunt and like, what this part of it meant nothing to me. This is what meant something to me.
yeah.
Or watching people who are like nodding off while you're like rattling off numbers and stats, and they're like, this doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
So where I've landed is much more, is there a way that this person could be helped rather than I need your money for a deal? But I'm curious, your education process, like what is like step one, two, three, four, like the investor journey of educating someone? What does that look like? What do you teach?
Yeah, I mean, really, I think a lot of people would agree with this, but you want to start building your list, so to speak, literally and figuratively. You want to start building a list before you have a deal. So what does that mean? One of the lowest hanging pieces of fruit that I've seen is just educating people on how a self-directed IRA works or a solo 401k, because a lot of people have money available. And this is how I got into investing. I had no idea I could do something different with it besides mutual funds, stocks, and bonds. So I was educated about, what I could do with stuff, and then naturally, I asked more questions and got interested, and then a deal became available. So, when in doubt, educate. It's a great content strategy, but remember when you're going to events or you're doing stuff online, you're going to attract other people that are doing what you're doing, but they're not the people you necessarily want to market to, right? A lot of capital raisers fall victim of going and hanging out with a bunch of other capital raisers. You really need to go in the place where your kind of ideal investors at. So, but yeah, getting them in there, educating them, and giving them real value. Real value with video, with Q&A sessions, whatever you can do is great. Face to face is great, but it's not scalable. But we have this wonderful thing called Zoom that allows you to kind of face to face it, and
Right.
it's really a nice experience. And like any relationship you care about in life, as soon as you start talking to them through email, text, whatever, keep the conversation going, right? You don't want to do what you said earlier, get somebody into your world with some education, then go quiet for 6 months, then be like, hey, got an opportunity. So they're going to go, who are you? I don't
Yeah.
remember you.
Yeah, absolutely. What, so when it comes to the education, you were talking about this investor journey, and then you've got to come up with like your avatar, your ideal customer avatar.
Yeah.
Um, have you found that there's this universal type of education, or that comes more specific with an avatar? You've got to identify your avatar first, or the education. Like what comes first, the chicken or the egg there?
Yeah, I've seen more people, and I've experienced this myself, get just absolutely crippled by trying to figure out their avatar than anything else.
Okay.
Here's the secret to it. Sometimes it's a journey. Sometimes you think you know when you find out it's not actually a good avatar. Now, the exception to that rule is if you're an anesthesiologist, target other people like you because you're going to speak their language, that's great. If you come from a place in corporate America where you have a more general experience, like a middle level manager, okay. You might not know your avatar yet. You might not know who resonates with your stuff. That's okay.
Hmm.
When in doubt, target people that can afford to do the things you're talking about. So it can be a journey for sure. And even in my business, the avatar has shifted over time as my experiences have caused me to shift it. And as the markets change, nothing stays the same forever. But to go back to the core of the question,
Uh-huh.
when in doubt, educate. There's a lot of education out there about what we're talking about that is helpful for people. And you may think a certain group of people is going to resonate vocally the best with it. And you may be surprised and find out there's another group you never thought of.
If you're enjoying the podcast and want to fast track your way to becoming a full time real estate entrepreneur, then join the Multifamily Mastery Hub on School. You'll get access to our educational course library, live trainings, live interviews, and a community dedicated to helping you succeed. Visit school.com/multifamily mastery hub. That's SKOOL.com/multifamily mastery hub and fast track your way to becoming a full time real estate entrepreneur today.
When hanging out in this education space, you mentioned self-directed IRAs.
Mm.
Um, do you find people, I'm trying to think the best way to ask this question, the education. So do I like find one topic and just beat that drum, or do I need to have a few different tools in my toolbox? Meaning, okay, so I'm going to compare this to the investor journey. So I have learned that you have to like make somebody aware, then you have the consideration, then the conversion, then the loyalty, the advocacy, and there's probably other, layers in between all that. So should I, and this is where I'll be honest, this is where I get hung up sometimes. Okay. So I've got an avatar. Cool. I'm good there. But they don't speak my language yet. They speak a different language, and they might need different education depending on where they're at. And like, where do I even start with like, what it my lead magnet, if you will, like how far into that do I start? And do I need two or three or four lead magnets, or do I daisy chain that together? Like, what do I do? Like, how do I even start getting a message out there to get people to talk to get that feedback?
Yeah. Well, one foot in front of the other. So start with one lead magnet, get it out there before you worry about number two. Because the worst
Okay.
thing you can do is have three or four unfinished and nothing out there. Because perfect and on the shelf is worthless to you, right? I'd
Hmm.
rather you see it C minus good enough, get it out there so it can actually start working for you. Start your conversation and your language simple. Same thing I do with marketing. I'm going to tell you how I can help you from a very high level. If you want to nerd out and go deep, we can go deep, but I'm never going to make that assumption because a confused mind doesn't, and they never buy. You're going to scare people away using words that are too big without their permission or concepts that are too abstract.
Hmm.
Instead of saying, I don't know what you're talking about and getting embarrassed, they're just going to disappear into the darkness and not say anything at all. So keep it simple, keep it conversational. If we were next door neighbors and each had two or three beers, how would we talk about it? So when in doubt, keep it authentic. It's a great strategy that it keeps it a lot less intimidating for people as well.
Okay. So done is better than perfect. Get something out there and get feedback from it, learn from it. I like your analogy of one foot in front of the other. It's
Yep.
really easy to get caught up in this
Yep.
analysis paralysis, or I've got to get it perfect. But if you're waiting to do that, you're never getting the opportunity to get any feedback, to do any iterations there.
Yep.
So when you get a little bit more advanced, right? So I've got a lead magnet, I'm getting some feedback. I'm going to go back to this customer journey process here. Um, do you do you have a process, or do you teach a process where you like get someone in and then you drip nurture them? Like, what does that look like when you're working with your clients?
Yeah, so of course, yeah, people come in, we give them what we promised them. We run them through a welcome series automation. You're introducing them to your story, your brand, kind of what you do and why. You're allowing yourself to be human and connect through email, offering more value where it makes sense. And then you can put them into an educational automation or drip, as you call it, and give them the ability to book a call if they want to.
Okay.
If they don't book a call right away, that's fine. Let them go to your newsletter and make sure you're sending out a newsletter. This is the piece that everybody skips, which is so crazy because it requires so little effort. But send out a newsletter at least twice a month, right? Twice a month, because if you don't, they are going to forget about you. And some people say, well, I just want to leave them in automation forever. Well, you can do that if you want to, but markets change, your ideas change, your opportunities change. Your newsletter is your opportunity to share the here and now with your list. So if you want to do both, do both. But do not forget that simple but really, really important nurture. And then if you have a podcast like you or a YouTube channel or school community, make sure to get those people in your the other places you're online because everything you do becomes nurturing. It never ends that way, which is great. It has a great multiplier effect to it.
Okay, you said something, and if somebody's new or not real sophisticated on the tech side, on
Sure.
the back end side,
Yep.
you're talking about a newsletter, and then you also mentioned automation.
Yep.
Those are two separate things there, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yep.
an automation is I've got 10 canned emails. When you come in and you sign up for something, you're just going to get these emails. But then there's the newsletter, and I like what you said. It's the here and now. At some point, what I just heard you say, Jason, was you can't infinitely do newsletters. You need some current event, personal. The people need to get to know you. And is that what I hear you saying? Is that's part of your newsletter?
Yeah, absolutely. And to kind of clarify for your audience, so you'll hear these words thrown around, but they're synonyms. Automation, workflow, drip, they're all the same thing.
Hmm.
It's a sequence of emails you set up with a wait in between them that goes out. And some people just run through, and other ones can be intelligent and have goals. Like if they book a call, we stop talking about book a call, things like that. So, but yeah, the newsletter or the campaign or whatever your program is that you use calls it, it's the manual send out of an email to the big group you've got, generally going to
Okay.
be investors and kind of prospects, everybody.
Gotcha. Okay. So now I've got a lead magnet. I'm getting some people into my flow. And I've got an automation. Now I know that I need a newsletter. Things are starting to work for me, but there's only so much of me, Jason. There's only so much of me to go around.
Yeah.
I've got this new hurdle in front of me. How do I do this like at scale? Like, what is that going to look like?
Got to clone yourself. No, just kidding. You've got all kinds of tools, right? You've got automation and AI and some really cool softwares out there. So we've talked kind of about the back end of the funnel or what happens after people get into your list. So
Hmm.
quite simply, I call it lead nurture. Now we're going to talk about lead gen a little bit.
Okay.
What do you do to get people in? In this space, what most people will tell you is to post on LinkedIn, post on Facebook, post on whatever social channels you like to. And organic posting can help. It can help. But the truth is, most people that do it, even for a long time, don't see much from it. And it's because there's a lot of people doing the same thing, talking about the same stuff. The people who are willing to put themselves out there and be unapologetically authentic with their brand tend to get people's attention more because they go, yeah, people go, I can get down with that, or not for me. You
Hmm.
want to create polarity. You're not going to appeal to everybody, and that's the point. You don't want to. So um, getting on podcasts as a guest is a wonderful way to get yourself in front of a new audience. Probably one of my favorite of all time. All I have to do is show up and talk. And since it's about me, there's nothing to prep for. I changed out of a sweatshirt into a collared shirt and said, let's roll. So that's a great way to do it. If you do have your own platform, a YouTube channel, a podcast, a school community, or a combination of those, that's another way to bring people in, lead with education and even entertainment, and that can turn into some things as well. So just be mindful of what you're doing. I'll tell you a story. I once had a guy who was full-time working for himself when I started this business. I was part-time for probably 2.5, 3 years. He told me what to do. He said, you need to post on LinkedIn, Facebook, I think it was Twitter and something else 5 days a week, and you need a blog twice a week too. And I was, oh my God,
Uh-huh.
this guy liked to write. So I'm doing all this work, right?
Hmm.
Work.
Hmm.
And since I've lived in this house in Georgia, we're from Indiana originally. We've been here about 18 months, but my wife came to me about a year ago and she said, question for you. How many calls have you ever generated from a blog? We've been blogging for years, bro, years. And I was like, what? She's like, just answer the question. I was like, none. She's like, we're never making another blog. And I was like, we literally have like 400. So they still exist, but I hid them on the website because
Yeah.
they don't do anything for me. So I'm not
Okay.
doing anything. We do some posting on LinkedIn and Facebook every week. I don't do it. Somebody on my team does 3 posts just to keep the brand out there. But the biggest value is going to be stuff like what I'm doing right now. So be intentional with your time. Put yourself in places where you can make real connections. If you get an invite to go speak or teach at a local event and the people in the audience are people you might want to work with, that's worth your time. That is gold. So there's some ideas for you for sure. Another thing which I really like for capital raisers, is Facebook ads. So you can use Facebook lead forms. A lot of people are doing it in the industry. You can spend 25 bucks a day,
Uh-huh.
750 a month, and you can get people into your list that have an interest with investing. Now, if you want accredited investors, you'll get fewer leads, but you'll get higher quality. So you have those options. But LinkedIn ads, very similar to Facebook ads, a little bit more expensive, not quite as effective, but it's another option for you. So if you can swing it, a degree of your effort should be focused on paid because paid Facebook ads will do more for you than organic LinkedIn posting for most people, for 99% of people ever will because you got to really be dialed into that to make it produce what you think it's going to.
That's gold, man. You're like dropping gold nuggets right now. I love it. Public speaking's not everybody's jam, but do it, right? Like sign up, do it. You get a
You can
lot of
get
eyes
on
on
a
you.
panel just so you can be part of the
Okay.
conversation. Panels are great, man. It's not all on you. If you hate the public speaking, if you're up there with 3 or 4 people and there's a
Hmm.
conversation that they can witness, not only is that enjoyable to do, but that can be gold. So, yep,
You're all of a sudden you have authority in the space, right? You're
absolutely.
viewed as a subject matter expert.
Yep,
I was going to ask you, and you beat me to it, the Facebook ads or Meta, right? Because it's
yep.
Facebook, you have Instagram and Facebook. Um, so we're going to hang out in that spot a little bit because I did a long time of just posting, and I'm not going to say it was crickets, but it was damn near close. Like it was maybe two or three cricket. I mean, it was not much. And then I actually joined another mentoring group, and it was a big portion of it is actually about running ads. And it was, so I had to have this mindset shift. And it was ads, if you do it right, ads are non-expense, they're an investment. And I was like, oh, I never thought of it that way. Like that's okay, that makes sense. And then the other thing was, and I'd like you to hang out in this spot because you alluded to it. Just because you run an ad doesn't mean it's magic, right? An ad is more like a magnifying glass in whatever you're doing because a lot of people are throwing stuff out there organically. Ads are positioned to get your attention different, and we're also conditioned to like maybe slow down when there's an ad, the algorithm's feeding it to us. So if your message is not real strong or powerful, maybe you're putting a magnifying glass on something that's not very strong, it's going to resonate. So um, when someone's getting started with running ads, what is your advice to them?
Yeah, I mean, you can start with 25 bucks a day or more, but like you said, let's set the expectations. Um, your business, you're not going to wake up tomorrow rich. It's not this striking oil in the backyard thing you think it is. I always tell people if you can't commit to it for like 3 months, probably shouldn't do it at all.
Okay.
If 750 bucks a day or a month, excuse me, for ads is too much, that's fine. You're just not ready for it. It doesn't make sense to force it early because if you spend $10 a day, you're probably not going to see results. Or if you do, it'll be very, very, very slow. So you need to get the ad out there. And I'll just give you a little hint for this industry. If you want to talk about real estate the way Facebook, I'm just going to call them Facebook because you change your name, I'm going to still call you the original name. So
Yeah, yeah.
Facebook, they make you declare the ad under a housing category. And because Facebook doesn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, you can't target. You have to allow them to target as they see fit. You can't pick male or female, age, demographic, nothing. So you have to leave it up to the machine learning and the AI, which sounds nice because you don't have to do anything with targeting, but you're just hoping it's going to work for you in that regard. So really all you can do is test your creative. And if you're using a form is, test different type of conditional logic with your questions and things like that. My advice for ads is keep it simple. Speak in a clear language that people understand. Don't make it confusing. And I just made a video for a guy that's working with me. He's getting a lot of leads, a ridiculous amount of leads for a really good price. Now, is everybody booking calls? No, not right away. Is everybody going to invest? But you're filling a pipeline.
Yeah.
Some
Okay.
people will see ads, right? They won't touch the ad, but they'll see the name. They'll go to your website, then they'll book a call. So ads is, worst case scenario, it's brand awareness. The next best thing is it's going to help you build your email list with people that probably have some reason to be there. And then the thing after that is if you could actually get somebody on a call, that's the biggest win. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, absolutely. And you recommending, throwing it out there, start with $25 a day. What would be the cost per lead to start with?
Yeah, I really like the 10 bucks or less. And a lead is defined as somebody, we like forms, somebody opting in. So somebody submitting a form and getting into your CRM of choice, active campaign, high level, doesn't matter, Google Sheets, whatever
Hmm.
you want to. And then, it's more challenging then for booking a call because are they accredited, they not accredited? Do they like the asset class you focus on? There's a lot of variables beyond that, but I know the value if you can build your list the right way, meaning people opt in, you're not buying a list or doing anything you shouldn't be doing,
Uh-huh,
and
uh-huh.
they're somewhat interested in what you do. That's the kind of list you want to build, which can lead to good stuff. So,
Gotcha. That's awesome. Um, there's something else I was going to ask you about that. Oh, okay, coming back, you were mentioning testing creative, so I'm gonna share an example, and maybe you can
sure.
give some other examples to go with it. Um, so I'm still relatively new to the ad space, and I'm probably in about 3 months in, and so I had to, watching these ads running and their meta ads, the spend is kind of going up and down. I'm like, what's going on? And then you've got to wait for it to learn, like you said. Um, and so I did a campaign and I put three creatives next to each other. One was a carousel, one was a video, and one was a single image. The
Mm,
single image ad, very basic,
yeah.
far outperformed. This is just the topic, the way I worded it. And there's that doesn't mean if I did creatives a different way that the carousel might outperform, but just it was interesting to me to hear you say simple is better.
Keep it
My
simple, bro.
my
Yep.
single image ad was like the winner, the clear winner. And I was like, that's really interesting because my videos got way more information. I would think that would actually be, more enticing. Just it wasn't in that case. Is that, when you're saying keep it simple, is that you're nodding your head like that sounds about par for the course?
I've had that same experience many, many times, and it's funny about business and offers in life and everything that we get an idea like, okay, I'm gonna pick what I think is gonna work best, and so many times it's the one you're not paying attention to that works best. So this is a great time to remind everybody, let the market tell you what the market wants. Don't be so married to that great image or that awesome video you made on your buddy's boat. The
Uh-huh,
market
uh-huh.
doesn't care, it's worthless to you, right? Let the market. So, with that being said, if we're doing 25 bucks a week, Facebook, LinkedIn ads, my recommendation is test 3 ads at all times. So it could be the same targeting, same messaging, just a different picture. And at the end of like a 7 or 10 day period, one of them is going to be far less successful. Kill that one, make a variation of the best one, and you're always testing kind of your winners with something new. And it gives you and gives the algorithm something to play with, but it keeps it fresh too. So it's a very simple path to follow. So
Awesome. Hey, Jason, I could hang out in this space like all day with you and ask you tons of questions because the ads piece is honestly new for my journey. It's been a game changer. I wish I would have done it years ago. Just because like I know there's a huge learning curve to it. But honestly for me, it was a total game changer to compared to just constantly putting out organic stuff. Now, and I've even gone through like social media training, like this intensive 6 month social media training. I'm not a professional content creator. The people that go viral, it is few and far between. And even those people, they do it for years. Like a lot of them would be like, I was doing it for years before anything hit. So you gotta weigh like what's your time worth there. Um, but I want to shift over just to hang out a little bit. You're also a passive investor in some of these apartment deals, right?
yeah.
How did you get started in that?
Yeah, so I was helping a client who was a capital raiser, and we were looking at lead magnets and stuff he had one day, and I was giving him my feedback. So I started going down the rabbit hole of education on self-directed IRAs. I watched the video, and I was like, "That's interesting." I kept watching. I watched all of them. He had like a mini course kind of, and I watched them all, and I was like, this thing's speaking to me. I want to get involved. So it
Hmm.
wasn't planned, but I had some money in an old IRA from corporate, just kind of hanging out in Vanguard, not really doing anything. So I got connected with a company, rolled it over, and then it wasn't too far later, he had a deal. And the minimum was a bit higher than what I wanted, but I learned that the general partners can make those exceptions. So I got in, and
Hmm.
yeah, it's like I think a 5 year hold Chattanooga. So it's chugging along. For a while, it's kind of scary because I'm just watching like the monthly updates, like, why is occupancy going low? I can't do a damn thing about it. So
Yeah.
hopefully it works out, and it's back up now. But that's how I got started. And in my mind, it was going to be like really hard, and it's not hard. Like most things in life, there's Google it or ask somebody who knows how to do it. Nothing's as hard as you think it is. So it was actually a pretty good experience actually getting all that done and getting involved. And now I just get monthly updates. So.
Yeah. That's great to hear. I just actually set up a self-directed IRA myself. Took some money out of, when I left my corporate job, I took some money out of that 401k, put in a self-directed IRA. So I cannot invest in my own GP deals with my self-directed IRA. Can't do that. But I
Yeah.
know people who are experienced, have the track record that I trust, and I can invest with them. It was actually very easy to do that self-directed IRA, to get that check and get it over to the company. It was like, it was very easy. I was surprised
Fill
how
out the
easy it was.
form, email it here. Yeah, it's not
Yes.
going on.
Yes, and they're like reaching out to the general partner. They're like, "Hey, like here's the information, like here's the check, here it's coming." Like I'm like, "This is too easy."
Right.
And so for me, like it's been a really good experience using the self-directed IRA, and it's something I wish I would have done sooner. I love your idea about the education on it because a lot of people change jobs. And as
Oh
you
yeah.
change those jobs, then it unlocks that because if you have a job and you've only worked that one job and you've been putting your money into it, there's a good chance they're not going to let you take that out and roll it into a self-directed IRA, but you'd have to check with them.
Yeah.
They have their custodian. But if you've changed jobs, you've got some, money someplace and that's yours, you can technically put it into a self-directed IRA. And so that's the deal that you've got in, and it's been going pretty good for you.
Yep. I'm also in a short-term rental fund. So a little, yeah, I like diversification like a lot of people. So crypto, silver, land, stocks, bonds, everything. But yeah, diverse across a bunch of different asset classes, if you will.
Well, man, that's awesome. Um, Jason, I really appreciate your time. Like I said, I could spend a lot more time going through all of these steps in this marketing funnel.
Yep.
Someone just getting started, new to the space, they want to start raising capital. What's your advice to them?
Yeah, my advice is simple. Pick a inexpensive CRM. We like Active Campaign. We don't mind high level, MailChimp. I don't care. Pick something and
Hmm.
start building an email list. And if you don't know what to talk about, document your journey, share it because there's other people thinking about doing what you're, a step ahead of them doing. Start building that list because that is something everybody should do from the beginning. Then someday when you do get further down the path, you'll have people to tell about with your deals and things like that. So.
Perfect. I love it. Jason, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, follow you, work with you, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Yep, intentionallyinspirational.com. That's our website. Upper right-hand corner, what we got going on is there. So it's all kinds of interesting things for you guys to check out if you like.
Awesome. So we'll get a link down below in the show notes. We'll get that out for you. Um, Jason, once again, I really appreciate your time. Any closing thoughts you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. I would just say to anybody listening, you've got a dream. You've got something you want to do in your head. If you haven't done it, you know what? Fear is part of the process. So the fear never goes away. The fear is the litmus test that you're trying to do something. So my advice is life is short, my friend. Go for it.
That is awesome. So you said you've been doing this for 10 years, right? Doing
Yep.
your own thing for 10 years. Do you still face that fear
Oh,
sometimes?
2024 is the scariest year I've ever had in business. So I was actually sitting out back by my pool and I had a realization that we're in trouble, big trouble financially, and it snuck up on me. I didn't see it coming for a variety of reasons. So yeah, it was really, really terrifying. But things can happen. So things change, markets change, offers change. So you either roll with it or you don't. I chose to roll with it.
Was the 9 years of getting hit in the face with obstacles, did it prepare you for like, I'm here again? I'm gonna, make that decision to deal with it. Does that question make
Yeah.
sense? Like, because
It does. It does. There was about a 2.5 day period where I'll monitor my language here a bit. I found myself being uncharacteristically weak for me. So I had to have a talk with myself, and the talk
Mhm.
went like this. You've done this before. Get up and handle it. It may take 6 months or it may take 6 years. Timeline's unknown, but you know what to do. And it starts with one foot in front of the other. Cut everything that's not working and focus on getting new people onto the calendar. I know how to sell. So that's what we did. And I'm just now seeing some fruits of that. And, it's probably been about 6 months. It takes time. It takes time. So, yeah.
Oh man, that is the story of an entrepreneur right there. You can have the best day and the worst day like 30 minutes apart from each other.
Yeah.
And it's not for everybody, but if you really want to, I'd say grow as a person, for me, like when I get to the end of my life, I want to look back and be like, I laid it all out on the table. I didn't leave anything to chance. I put it all out on the table. And I think that that's like you got to have that gumption, you got to have that grit to push through. And to hear someone like yourself who's been doing it for years, you still get challenged with it, but you're gonna have those times where you have to talk to yourself. So, um, Jason, thanks so much, man. It's been great. And for those of you listening, Jason, I hope everybody reaches out to Jason, follow him. I think he's got some great things he can help you guys out with. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks. Thanks for tuning in to the Stephen Lee Thomas Show today. And if you found value in today's episode, then I have a favor to ask you. Please share it with friends, family, and anyone who might benefit from the insights we shared today. Also, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review if you enjoyed the show. And if you aren't already part of our school community, then head on over to school.com/multifamily mastery hub and join today. And again, thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to connecting with you in our school community.